us through the three changes you made first of all, Kenny?
Well, I suppose the unfortunate part of the three changes were forced on us this week, and we lost some experienced players and some really important players. But luckily enough, with the boys that we brought back in, albeit Xavier's a young player, he's played a bit of footy this year, and Brogsy and certainly Dan have been high quality players for us for a long time. So, we've lost a few, but we've gained a few.
You lose a tall forward, Evo, plays a bit taller. How does that affect your structure? The boys you brought in, it's not
it challenges us a little bit. There's no doubt about that. We understand that Brad plays a slightly different role, but we've got plenty of players that can play, in the forward line and give us that opportunity to score as well as Brad used to. And obviously Robbie's one of those players that can go forward for us a bit as well.
Are you reluctant to do that with Robbie, given his form the last few weeks, running through the middle?
We're reluctant to do either or with Robbie sometimes because he's so good in most places. So you sometimes just got to play where you need to play, and as a team we've got to get the balance right.
Can obviously
recover his form and get his spot back.
How sorry?
How did Dersma recover some?
I think that's pretty open-ended type of question from you. Is that the recovery of his form was always said he wasn't playing terrible footy. We thought as much as anything, and I think I was on record as saying that. With the Magpies having the playing on the Saturday, it was a great opportunity for him to get a freshen up and then to see what happens. Now, we had a few injuries, so we get an opportunity to put someone back in the side who was been pretty consistent for us most of the year.
Obviously a feel-good story when this finishes. With Broadbent coming back so quickly after taking a break for mental health reasons.
Yeah, it's a great story that he's able to recover and look, to be fair, his football since he's been back has been absolutely first class. So Broggsy's always been an important member. We wrapped our arms around him. We gave him as much support as we could, and he's now back feeling happy and glad to be back out there playing with his teammates.
Ken, you never want to lose good people, but Michael's obviously been sounded out by Carlton. Have you said anything to him, or what do you say to him, if anything?
Nah, look, to be fair, Tom, I don't spend my time. I've got a big challenge coming up this week. That's Richmond, and those things go on consistently throughout the industry. We all get that. We all understand that. Is there a better way to do it? I'm not sure just yet. We have got that better way, but for me, I've got a real focus and a narrow focus on Richmond.
And you're confident he's totally focused on his job at Port until that time comes?
Every person that works for us is totally focused on their job at Port Adelaide.
How does that work, Kenny? Does he sort of come to you earlier in the week and say, so I'm thinking of doing later, do you mind if I miss a training session?
The greatest respect. If you want to talk to me about Richmond, we'll talk about Richmond. But Michael's got things that he's working through himself. As I said, as a football team, we've got some real challenges this week, tomorrow, at the MCG.
Just asked about David's comments as well, Ken. Obviously he says for the chairman to say, I'd like you to focus on your job, albeit slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, it was. And look, we all understand. One more thing I'll say on it. The industry finds it difficult and challenging to do things any differently than it currently does. I've been a part of that. I've been involved with that. I understand that. So from there, I now want to focus on and get the job done against Richmond.
Do you read much into this win-loss pattern?
Absolutely I do. I read a lot into it, and it's as good as the good is, the disappointment of the bad is one we live with, and that's why it's so important for us to give ourselves the best opportunity tomorrow to play the game we need to play. We need to get back to the opportunity to represent ourselves well consistently, not inconsistently.
How do you rate the Tigers?
They're in first class form, aren't they? I think I've got to ask the question back to you that we'd all acknowledge that Richmond are probably the side that everyone's looking at now going to be they're coming pretty strong. We've got a pretty good record with them. We always know it's going to be a pretty tough contest against them, especially at the MCG, and we look forward to going there. Sorry, I didn't.
Can he do a job on Gus?
Well, he can do a job, there's no doubt about that. I got in trouble last week talking about people's jobs, but the responsibility of our football team is to play competitive, aggressive football week in, week out, and players in the team have roles to play. Every club does, we're not the only club.
Vancouver's still out of the side. Is that an area you can get on top of Richmond, given the likes of form and the inexperience of their play?
Well, we hope so, but we don't know. Their ability to win the ball at ground level is really, really impressive. They don't rely on stoppage. They are a pretty good side full stop, at both ends of the ground and in the middle. So we'll have our challenges whether we're on top in the ruck or not.
And how was Sutcliffe's mindset during the week? Obviously, a lot of talk about what happened last week, and as good mates with Lockie knew. How did he react during the week? And obviously, very pleased to get another crack at it.
Yeah, look, good on him. He's he hasn't shied away from anything. He knows what his role is and what he's trying to do for us as a football team. Him and Lockie are still mates. I can assure you of that.
I haven't seen much of Sutcliffe. If he doesn't do a sort of dedicated 100% tagging role tomorrow, what type of roles does he play with?
Yeah, well, I've said last week, Suts can play in all three areas of the ground for us, which is great flexibility. Talk about some of the challenges we have with people missing. He can play back, he can play forward, he can play midfield. We understand that he's got plenty of flexibility about him, and we'll use him that way.
Could you say to one of your main movers, why don't you go stand Dusty, or why don't you go stand Lockie instead of using the sort of sacrificial lamb, so to speak?
Yeah, every club sets out to do it, I think, as a collective, and that's what you try to do. But other clubs, have different type of players in their teams. They play run with players. We're not the first, we won't be the last. I think it's, if you get it right, it's a great result. If you get it wrong, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm going to keep changing. I'm going to keep challenging. I'm going to keep being adventurous to try and make us better.
Are you reluctant to be vocal, given what happened as well, in terms of what you said before the game?
Yeah, and again, no, I'm not. Actually, I'm not, because I get told regularly that, to be open and be honest and tell the truth is the way to go. I'm going to live by that, and I'm going to stand by that.
Terrorise Dusty then?
Midfield obviously very...
Perhaps the word terrorise is a word that Paul Roos would like to learn.
Hey, obviously the midfield, when you win and lose in this current run of up and down games, your midfield is so important. Critical again tomorrow.
Oh, every week, Andrew, every week, absolutely critical. If you don't win the midfield battle more often than not, you don't win games of football. We like every club, understand that. So yeah, it's critical, and the quality of the opposition we face tomorrow is as good as you get. It's a great challenge for our group.
The industry's as brutal as anything. Obviously, a good mate of yours, no longer coaching at St Kilner. Have you given him a call and said, mate, if you need a job next year, you can come my way?
Well, Tommy, I've certainly given him a call, and I've reached out, and that's what you should do. And he's a good man, and all the best to Alan. I'm sure he's having a little spell now, and hopefully he's tuned into the tally tomorrow, watching the power get up.
How was he? Was he up?
Again, it's probably not fair to me to be talking too much about someone else in that situation. He was in pretty good spirits, I think. So other than he lost his job, and anyone who's in that situation is hurt, and hurt badly. But he understands.
Ken, a lot of talk about your ruckman, obviously the options you've got. Young Sam Hayes, 4 games back in the SNFL, obviously pleased with the way he's going. How highly do you rate him as a developing
He's a really good young player. He's such a young player though too, Andrew. He's got a lot of growth still. He's coming off an ACL, which is massive, and couldn't be more pleased with the way he's come back and played his first 4 games. He's got a really bright future.